Yes.
What was the last concept we had?
We have using the Eclipse software and today we are going to start sessions.
No. We have seen the login server and other things, right? Yeah. So I was talking about the profile.jsp, right? So in this profile.jsp, we are seeing the all the profiles of the users. So I need to see only the person who has logged in, right? So for that reason, we have to see a concept known as sessions, we can say. So what is HTTP sessions means? Simple thing. Sessions store the object, like store that value in the form of object in the server, not at the client side or the browser. So the values are being secured in the server. We can access whenever that profile is being accessed, the profile being is clicked. So what are the methods present inside the sessions we have to see? First thing will be java p space java x dot servlet dot HTTP is required in order to access the HTTP sessions concept. So what's the thing we have? HTTP session, right? The same thing we can see here. Okay. So in the HTTP session, if you see, we have two methods. One is get attribute, the other thing is set attribute. Now, what do you mean by set attribute? You can say we are storing the object in the form of a particular string, that too in the server memory. And what is the return type of set attribute? You can say void itself. Whereas get attribute is there, so whatever that object you have stored in the form of string is being revoked. Like see here, we have stored the object in a string, right? We use get attribute to get the object from the string. So the return type of the get attribute is object, and the return type of void, like set attribute, is void. Okay. Now, in this scenario, if you see, these methods must be called. To call the methods of a session, need object for what particular HTTP session. So to create the object, we have a factory method. What is factory method?
Generate the object.
Yes. So here we have a servlet request. A method which generates an object is there, and you can see that is get session, and it is present inside the HTTP session, you can say, right? So get session, sorry, not HTTP session, you can say it's HTTP servlet request. So who generated the servlet request object now? Servlet engine itself. So directly you can access, right? And one more thing is there known as get session. The get session is a method which returns the HTTP session object. And here you have to understand, whenever we store the value, it's not stored in the client side or the browser, it's stored in the server. So whenever you store the object, a unique ID will be given to that object or that name, and based on that ID you can retrieve again in other servlets or JSP. Okay, so now inside this, if I take an example, in the login servlet I need to use this particular HTTP session. So how to include the request dot get parameter, sorry, request dot get session. It generates a particular object of HTTP session. HS equals to request dot get session, right? That's the first thing. And based on that we can store it like set attribute. And that set attribute is nothing but slash login, right? Sorry, not slash login. You can say the set attribute, we need a string. So what that string you can say user, and what you're trying to store here, username. And in this username, that value is stored in the user. If suppose I'm using another servlet, right, I need to call the get attribute. So get attribute requires the object of HTTP session itself. Means in this also we need to create the object of session. Okay, any name, any object name you can use. I'm just creating the session. Based on the session object, if I call the get attribute method, here I'll use a particular user, and inside that we have a particular object type, but we don't need an object, right? We need a string. We have seen an upcasting concept. What is upcasting?
Reference of parent class stored, reference of child class stored in parent class.
Reverse, I guess. Superclass stores.
Creating a single for multiple child classes.
Yeah. So here, if you remember, we had a car, the car X equals new Audi. We used to like internally convert that Audi object to car, right? That's the upcasting thing. Now we need to do the downcast. Simple thing. If an object is there, we need to convert it to string, then we need to downcast it. Means superclass object is being referred to subclass. Like say, I'll just click the username, but this is not the part. Like here, get attribute returns the object, not the string. So that object is typecast or the downcast to string. So that is the next thing we require. Okay, because the username is of string type, which is stored in the user, and you are getting the user which returns the object, and that object is converted again to the subclass, that is a string. Is this point clear? Any doubts?
Can you repeat it?
Simple thing. We need to store an object in the server. So in object, like server can store only objects. So I'm storing an object inside a particular user, and by using this user we can retrieve the value anywhere. The problem with the profile.jsp was when you log in, the login details are not being stored. So I'm storing inside a user. Now whenever I retrieve the user, it will return the object, not the string. But when I write that condition, I need to check with the string value. So we can't use the object, right? So that return type of get attribute is object which is being converted into string, and object is a superclass and string is the subclass. So subclass object storing the superclass, like subject reference storing the superclass object. That is a reverse of upcasting, opposite of upcasting, right? You understood? So now we need to follow the same thing inside the profile.jsp. So open that web content. Inside that we need a Java resource, src is there, the default package, the login servlet, and inside login we have a system manager where we need to like store the values here. I need to create the session object, http session hs equals to request dot, it will give the method directly. I need a get session, right? Click on this thing and based on that you can import the http session. Now call the method hs dot set attribute. The set attribute we have this user, and what is the thing you can say? I need a variable, username is there, right, which we retrieved, and I'll be using that username here, right? So I'm storing the username now. The same username at the time of login what you have stored, we need to retrieve in the profile.jsp. Why? Because we need a condition to be written here. So for that condition purpose, we need to set that thing, sessions. So now the next thing will be how to retrieve the value. Simple thing. Implicit objects are there in JSP. 9 implicit objects. Sessions dot get attribute of the particular user. And what's the return type you can say? String username, and just you need to give that particular thing to string, right? Already username has been taken, so I'll just give it as user, right? Now after this we'll write that select star from H3FC where username equals to the placeholder. Okay, now we need to call the ps dot set string of 1 comma user. So the value has been sent. Now I need a condition I had been satisfied. So I'll run this application now. Run as Java server. Next, finish. I'll log in directly with the username and password like Shiva. I logged in. Click on the profile. We got the username, email, and phone and account number. Right? That is the part. That's the thing you can use in a session. Okay? Now, after this, we need to edit the part. Suppose if you see Facebook profile, you have an option of edit, right? Here also I want to edit. How to edit the things? I need a link here. When I click on the edit, here I should get the text box. 4 text box with the username, email, phone, account number, and in that the values must be there in the text box. So if I want to edit them, I can edit directly. So that's the next thing we have to do. Okay. So how can you achieve that? Simple thing. We need to add a profile.jsp. Inside that, I'll add one more column. That column is nothing but TD. inside the TD and just saying it as action. What action you want to perform, you can perform. Okay. So now, if I click on this action, like say TD, and here I'll write a particular action known as AH reference equals to directly edit profile dot JSP. Okay, click on this link and I need to give this value, like say I'll directly give it as edit. Okay, so when I click on the edit, it should go to the edit profile.jsp. So I'll just run this thing. We got the action as edit, right? Now understand the concept carefully. Here when I click on this edit, these values are required: the username, the email, and the phone, and the account number. Or you can send this edit. Along with that edit, you can send a value. What is that value you want to send? The username value you can say, right? Because again I need to select that username and get that values. Based on that you can edit, right? So for this we'll use a concept known as URL rewriting. URL rewriting is nothing but along with the URL there's a URL anchor tag. You can give a question mark, and after the question mark you can use a particular name, like I'm just saying user equals to Angular base percentile equals to, what is it, rs dot get string of username. That's the value I want to send it, right? So just click on the percentile and end it. That's it. So we ended the thing, right? So when I click on edit, it will go to the edit profile.jsp. So I need to create a file known as right click new JSP edit profile. Okay, so what we are having here, edit profile.jsp. Inside this I need the same code as a register, but only the part where the text box are there, not the entire part, right? So first what I will do, I will copy the home.html code. Two things I am merging in a single file now, because in the home.html the home links and everything will be there. Copy it inside the edit profile.jsp and paste the things. And now in the register.html we have the form action. I will copy the form action, the entire form thing, copy it and paste it in the web and edit profile.jsp. So I'm having the welcome. Instead of welcome I'll just say form action, right? Now it's not the register servlet, we can write a JSP thing. Password is not required, so I'm not overriding this thing, or the password thing I'm removing. Apart from the amount is not required, I'll remove the amount. And I'm not registering here, I'm just saying edit. I'll just have it as edit. And I'm not like revoking anything. Okay, so after this, if you want to say that new user also, it's not in use. Right. Now, what's happening here? I need a JSP code now. What is the JSP code? You can say the profile.jsp, the same code what you have done. Just copy the things from the code. Like here, java.sql and the connection part and the prepared statement. All the things copy, paste it here, right? And I'm not getting it from the get attribute. I'll just say request dot get parameter. What is the get parameter you have? Use it. We'll check whether it's working or not, like URL pattern. And based on the user, it will retrieve. As we have seen in profile.jsp, I clicked on the edit profile, and inside that I'm storing in a user variable or the user value. Okay, so hs.set attribute user comma username, and the username is invalid details, you can say. Clear? Now, after clicking on the profile, edit profile, we got the values, but we need to display them in this. How to display that? If rs.next, if it is true, the value exists. Now I need to take till the form action, angle based percentile, the close up bracket. So here, instead of the placeholder, enter username or the things, I can have a particular value, angle based percentile equals to rs dot get string of username percentile close it. Save this thing. See that I'm clicking on edit profile, so it's go to the edit profile.jsp. I didn't save it or what? Yeah, I didn't enter the secret. I'll log out the things, log in, just say Shiva, click on edit, we got that Shiva, right? So the Shiva value is there, you can edit the thing. Instead of the placeholder, we can use the direct value. What is the tag? Value tag. Right? So inside the things you can add anything. Copy that value and place instead of the placeholder directly. And instead of username, I can give the email. Email is the thing which is required, and after this ACT number. I just retrieved from the database and I've stored it here. Instead of welcome, I'll just remove this thing. It will be sufficient. Save this part. Right. Now, I got the values of the username Shiva and all the things. But remember one thing, if you change the username itself, then how to have the condition? One unique thing must be there inside that particular text boxes. Right? Actually, here this text box must be disabled. So how to disable the things, you can say? Simply, I write edit profile, the username is there, I'll have a tag known as disabled. You can see that it has been disabled. Disabled in the sense you can't modify the things, right? When I click on the edit, it should edit the values, means update the details into the database. So how to update the details? When I click on edit, it should execute a URL. What is it? Edit action.jsp. So I need to execute this edit.action.jsp, where it will go to the database, update these values directly into the database columns, right? Here only one thing is that we need to write that username as disabled, so that one value is there which is not changing at all. Are you able to understand what I'm trying to do? I created a file edit profile. First edit. When you edit, you'll get that Shiva. You can see that query string. This is a URL pattern. Inside the URL, we are sending the value. Right now, so here we can edit the profile and we need to update it. So when I click on the edit, it should execute the edit action.jsp. Okay. So how to update we have to see. Clear? Now so what is the next thing we have is nothing but edit action that we have to create. Right click, new, just say the JSP file. Inside the JSP we can write edit action. Okay, so edit action has been executed. Now in this thing, what we need to do, when I click on the edit button, these values must be retrieved in the edit action.jsp. For that, we need that code. What is that? Import is required. After the import, the username and password and everything. Right? Copy these things, paste it inside the JSP part. Okay? Now here you need to understand we don't have the string username. We are not doing that. We need to get from that particular HTML file like string username equals to so we got the username, or you can say user, right? The similar way we need to get the email. And after that email, you can either write username, email, or phone. Phone is also of string type, right? So I'm just saying it as phone. Only the account number is of integer. So int account number you can say equals to the request dot or integer dot parseInt of request dot get parameter. So we just retrieved all the values. Instead of select command, we need to update it. How to write the update command? Simply update table name HDFC, set username equals to placeholder, email equals to placeholder, or username we don't change, right? Email equals to placeholder, phone equals to placeholder, and account number equals to placeholder, where username is equals to placeholder. How to send the values? ps.set string of first value is email. ps.set string of 2, phone. ps dot execute update you can say, and once it's getting execute updated, you need to redirect these things. If rs not equals to 0, you have to write int rs equals to, and if rs not equals to 0, system dot out dot, don't have to write system out again. What we need to say, we need to transfer the control, like response dot send redirect. We have a new method known as response dot send redirect, which contains a URL pattern of the next page, like slash home.html. Now this home.html must be executed, right? So for the reason we are send redirecting it. We had a forward, we had a send redirect. Simple thing, forward is limited to a particular server itself, whereas the send redirect is extended to other servers also. Like suppose I need to send a request from Tomcat server to a WebLogic. Okay, Tomcat server to a WebLogic. Then we need to use the send redirect method. Okay, so that is the process to transfer the control from one page to another page, you can say. Understood? Save this thing, and I need to execute this now. So I'll directly run this part. So I'll change the phone number as edit. What it's saying? Missing in or out parameters, you can say. Update table name set. At line number 17. 1, 2, 3. 3 is account number, and the fourth one is the username. Set username, or the string, you can say, full comma user. We're getting a blank page. What is the blank page here? What is the problem is there actually? That's the previous thing actually. So if you're not able to understand, means you didn't write any particular thing. So I'll write one more thing, like try catch. Actually, there's a problem. What's the problem? You'll see when you write the try catch. So this try catch, print stack trace, it will print that particular trace. This is the most important method, you can say. Okay. Next, the problem is actually the text box what you have disabled. That's the problem. So I cleared that everything, right? So fine. I'll just stop this thing. Okay. I'll click on the HDFC Bank app. Value has been added, right? click on edit, and I'm changing that phone number 12345. Okay, didn't print that thing. Actually, the problem is that I disabled the button. When you disable it, this value cannot be like taken. You can't retrieve the value. Request.get parameter cannot take the value because you are disabling it. That is a problem actually. To solve these things, we can use a hidden form field concept. Simple thing. Already we have seen the concept known as URL rewriting, like sending the value from the URL. Next, I'll remove the disable, but this value is visible, right? In order to disable this value, we have a simple thing known as hidden. Hidden means it won't be visible now. Okay, so that's the advantage, you can say. Request.get parameter rs.get string. And you need to edit the same thing inside the edit action. You need to get the username, email, and the phone. So just when I click on the edit, it has some values and edit. Don't we have home.html value? So you got that phone number changed actually. Because edit, you have updated it properly, right? Suppose I'm having 343434. Edit, yeah. So the profile, if you click, it got edited. We got the edit part also, right? So what you have done here, we were able to have the sessions. We were able to have the URL relative hidden from fields. Okay. So now next thing will be like the tags inside the JSP. What tags we need to use for the application? Suppose we have the include or the forward tag. For the same scenario, we can use these tags actually. Like suppose I'm having a tag known as directive tag. In the directive, we have two things: page directive, include directive. Page directive is importing the package. Include directive means what? That we have to see. Simple thing. In request dispatcher, we had the include method and the forward. The same things we are doing by using a tag. That is Angular base %, include the file. Or that file, you can say it's nothing but the home.html. Right? The same thing, or like retrieving this. Now, you include the same thing instead of the response.sendRedirect. Actually, servlet is nothing but an alternate way of writing the Java code. So instead of going for the Java code, like servlet code actually. So servlets, it's quite complex. We need to recompile and restart. Web.xml is mandatory. To overcome all those things, we are using the JSP. So here, Angular base %, include file equals to home.html.
So in real time, you have to
Right?
put the JSP, right? Not the file.
Both we use. Actually, like in Spring you will understand, but apart from that, MVC concept is there, right? Model view controller.
Yeah.
At the time you will understand we use all the three things: JDBC, servlets, and JSP. Those three things must be used accordingly. Okay, which part is what you'll understand at that time, and the MVC part. Now we need to run this thing, like say login, click on the profile, edit 898987. We got the home.html, right? So directly it got updated. So this is what include file home.html, right? So whatever the things we have in a particular servlet, the same concepts are there inside the JSP also. The JSP writer, print writer, the lifecycle methods, the lifecycle phases. Only thing, in JSP we write the tags, and the tags will be replaced with the Java code, right? Apart from this, we have the action elements. So what is the action elements? You can say similar to include, we have an action element known as JSP include. So in this JSP include, it will take a file, okay, and that file can be included in our page. Like say JSP include, the page will be there. So whatever the page is there, home.html. And the same thing we can have it with the forward also. Include means the existing code is included, whereas forward means that control is getting transferred from one particular JSP to another JSP or HTML or like servlet. So main thing will be the difference between the include file directive and the action elements that we have to understand. First is include is static include, and this is action element which is dynamic include. The major difference. Okay, so here in this code, if I change this part from include to the action element JSP colon include, and we have a page, or that page you can say home.html. Now try to restart the things. Same code I have written. This is a tag I have changed. Run the server. Finish. So click on the user Shiva. Click on profile. We got the edit. We can edit the things. Edit. We got the edit action.jsp, right? This is what JSP include, and instead of JSP include we have one more thing known as forward also, right? Forward means it will transfer the control, you can say. Save this thing and log out the part. Okay, if you want to restart, you can restart the things when you stop it, like say right click, run on server, and finish. So log in now. Click on profile. Okay, if it comes like this, do one thing, clear the browsing data. Okay, the cache memory may give you trouble sometimes. So log in Shiva, log in that part, profile, edit. directly you can have edit things. You got the edit profile. It got completed. So that's a forward. Okay. So the main difference between the includes of directive tag and the action elements are action element is dynamic include. If I change that home.html now, it will be reflected in the page. And whereas the starting include is nothing but the include directive. If I change the home.html code, it won't be reflected in the page. That is the difference in a starting include and a dynamic include, you can say. Okay, so in Spring we won't be using this include things. Just for awareness, I'm saying what is the include file and what is the include page. Okay, so response.send redirect is an important thing which can transfer the control from one particular server to another server also. That is the advantage we have. Understood? So the next things will be the bin class, and after the bin class the MVC part. Okay, so once the bin and MVC is done, we can start the Hibernate framework. So try to complete this application. Once you are done with the application, we can move to the Hibernate. In the same application, the same HDFC Bank, I'll show the Hibernate code also. So if you complete this application simultaneously, in the same thing we'll see this finger also. Okay, so one after the other the technologies will add in the same code. That's the difference. Hibernate also will be added in the same thing. Clear?
Okay.
Yeah. So upload the video, complete this today's task, and tomorrow we'll see the bin class and the MVC introduction.
Okay.